of the program, Mark Silverman, Geriatric Care Manager, old friend and colleague. Can't see anymore. Wow, this is a... I'm Mark Silverman. I'm Mark Silverman. I'm one of the co-directors. The other co is Rosemary Irving, who's not here tonight. I'm really excited. This is a nice turnout. This is the way it should be. So I want you all to come back. We've been doing this about 3 years. We do meetings twice a month. With the exception of this month, they're pretty routinely done on the first and third evenings. First and third Thursday evenings at 6 o'clock. And on your chair was given a schedule. We're going to have a fancy brochure, but in the meantime, you'll know what's coming up. For example, the next one is called Ha Ha Ha, a live demonstration of laughter yoga. It won't. That's the next one. It won't. It's next week. Oh, actually, it is next week, next Thursday. So you don't really need to leave. You should just stay. And it's fun, as you would think. And the one after that is actually going to be people from the Manhattan DA's office talking about identity theft. Which is not... that's going to be February 20th. So I'm here on the third Thursday, and Rosemary's here on the first Thursday. I think we have a really good schedule. I'm obviously not going to go over every one. You can read it, but I think we have some really interesting stuff. We worked very hard on putting together the presentations, and I think that they're very relevant, very interesting for all the people, and for those who care about them, which I guess is everyone else. I myself am a social worker, a geriatric care manager, and another part of this program, the Empowering Ethical Elders, is a telephone number, which, does anybody know?
Yeah, 721-4407.
212-721-4407. It is checked daily. And it's the number you've been asked to call in for to RSVP, but it's also checked for anybody who wants to call and has some issue with any moment at all in regard to seniors, elders, and myself or Rosemary will return the call to talk with you, and there's no charge. There's no charge for anything. I've been working with seniors now. I'm in my 14th year of working as a geriatric care manager, licensed clinical social worker. Rosemary, I think probably longer, as a therapist, and it's a service that's there free to give you help with whatever you might need. And that's the other part of the program. So, what else? I'll nag you one more time when you sign in. If you just tell me how you found out about us.
Are the events always at this location?
Yeah. Yes, they are right here in this room.
Unless the room, it's so big that we have to go to a bigger room. But there are bigger rooms here, so but it's in this building.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking at the possibility of maybe having some social events, where we might, which would not be at this time, but another time. When I say social events, like going to plays or meetings and then having discussion groups afterwards.
Yeah, we're not limited. We have some other ideas also, but for sure, exactly what we're doing here. It's been my goal, sort of a little humorously, to fill the big auditorium, but it may not be so humorous because it looks like it's a big auditorium and we might need it. Did you want to say something?
No.
I'm sorry. Okay. So I am very, very excited tonight. I mean that sincerely because well, what do they say? The difference between men and boys is the price of their toys. I love tech, and yet I also deal with seniors. And throughout my practice, I'm finding more and more the utility of tech in the care for seniors. But of course, there's also the area. There's so many areas where it's involved in, and I'm so thrilled that there's an organization called OATS, Senior Planet. Excuse me, it has a most. We'll get it up there in a second. A most fantastic website, and I've gotten a little into looking into creating websites and what's involved in the response and something called SEO. I mean, Senior Planet has been a huge hit. How many? Kim, I mean,
we finally got to 1 million unique visitors.
1 million unique visitors.
So we had thousands of unique visitors to our Senior Planet Exploration Center on 25th Street, so it won't like it.
Yeah, so I have a website. Okay. I get about 60 hits a day. They're not all unique. There's a qualitative difference. What's 60 times 3? Yeah. So they're doing a little better than me, and and they should be, because it's an amazing website. And I'm not going to. I'll jump ahead to say what the program's about, because that's what Kimberly's going to do. But it's so impressive. It's so important, and it's so. There's no reason at all why people after a certain age shouldn't be involved with all the tech world is offering, and it is so empowering, from not just in my world for safety, but for expanding and communication. The idea that seniors in one location in the country can be in touch with families simultaneously in any part of the world. They're calling it the death of distance. So anyway, I shouldn't talk any further. Kim is the Director of Programs at OATS and the Senior Planet Exploration Center, and I don't think I'm going to mess up any further without trying to do any more introductions. Without further ado, is Kimberly Brennsteiner. Ta-da!
Thank you for welcoming me. I'm happy to be here. I'm not the only presenter. Our Executive Director and founder of OATS, Tom Kamber, is on his way. But I want to open with a story. So when I was thinking about this topic, the benefits of technology, and that with seniors, and that's what we do all day, every day, in and out with OATS and Senior Planet. For those of you who aren't familiar with our organization, OATS is Older Adults Technology Services. We're going into our 10th year as a nonprofit in New York City. One of our trainers, Jerry, is here today, so I have to point him out because OATS is our trainers going out into community-based organizations all around the city in all 5 boroughs still doing technology training for seniors. Probably 80% of whom have never used a computer, never used a mouse, never had access to the internet at home or maybe even in their communities. And that's what we've been doing for a lot of years. The Senior Planet and our new website and our new center on 25th Street is a fantastic project, and I'll let Tom talk a little bit more about that when he comes. Since he's not here, he won't know what I'm talking about, so I'm going to tell a story that he doesn't know. When I found out that we were invited to speak here in this building, I hate to start a talk with a sad story. It's not a sad story, it's a heartwarming story, so bear with me. But the last time I was in this building was for a funeral for a dear friend of mine. Her name was Lucy Porges, and she lived a long and full life, well into her 90s. She was a fashion designer with Trigere, and she was a Holocaust survivor who took part in a program I worked on in Austria with young high schoolers from Europe who were connected via new technology to Holocaust survivors all around the world. This was 10 years ago when, if you think of 50%, over 50% of people over 65 don't use the internet now. 10 years ago, this was even a huger. So there was also, you've heard about Skype and these video chats and things that happened. That was in its infancy. Usually the speeds weren't fast enough to connect. It was still sci-fi. You could see it on Star Trek, but people weren't using that. Oprah Winfrey didn't have it. There was no communication via video chat. That was still futuristic. So these kids in Europe took pen to paper, and in some cases to a keyboard and email, and reached out to these survivors and their families living all over the world. One of them lived here in New York. In fact, hundreds of them lived here in New York. Fast forward 10 years, one of the young students who was 11, who had communicated with these survivors that lived in this neighborhood right here, is staying just a block away. Now I'm embarrassed I didn't invite her. She's visiting because she's writing her master's thesis at American University in Washington, D.C. The impact that technology had on everyone's life in this program is so exponential I can hardly begin to describe it. The technology had nothing to do with it, other than that it was what mediated and facilitated this type of engagement between people. So when I came to OATS and Senior Planet, it was a perfect fit because I'm not doing a technology presentation. We don't care about the technology per se. We care about how technology can enable communication. We care about how technology connects people that may have otherwise never been connected. We care about how technology can create barriers that marginalize groups of people that shouldn't be marginalized, that finds, if you're not online these days, if you're not communicating in the way the rest of the world and younger people are communicating, you're missing out, but so are they. So one of our mission, our very fundamental mission at OATS and Senior Planet is to harness technology to change the way we age. And we say we because we are all aging. I'm in my 30s. We have staff that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, up through hundreds. And we are all aging, and we are all focused on how we can use technology as a tool to create a better civic society, to create stronger social connections, to help people become less isolated, to help people become financially secure, and to be able to search for jobs. If you used to get out the New York Times and look for a classified listing for a job, that's just not the case anymore. So a lot of what we do is help people get the tools they need to be able to participate in society in the way people of all ages participate in society today. I want to make sure everyone's coming in. So this is a full house, so I'm a little bit nervous, I have to admit. I talk about this all day, but this is a big group. Some of our initiatives at OATS and Senior Planet have to do with a strategic plan that took place long before I came that looked about the areas in life that we collectively, our board and staff members and friends and people, our trainers, thought that technology can really make an impact in somebody's life. So if you think about areas in your life that you do or don't use technology or would want to, we boiled down to having technology increase social interaction, social connectedness, how people form friendships, how they connect with others, how they communicate. We talked about how health is impacted by your access to technology. It's not just the technology itself, but your empowerment as a patient, about ability to manage chronic disease or to research medications. I had a student who just felt very proud because he was going to have knee surgery and was terrified, and he was able to watch his same knee surgery on YouTube before it happened that took the fear away. So some of the things we take lightly are really important. If you're scared of something and it's a way that you can overcome that fear and feel informed, technology is important in that case. I mentioned a little bit about job searching and workforce. Everything financial is online. We were just talking about how you can't even go to an ATM, or your bank is going to charge you $1 for mailing you your bank statement. Those things are unfair if you're not working with computers. And one of our things that we really try to focus on is having people who have not used these technologies really feel comfortable with them. So another impact I mentioned, social isolation. I'll talk about this project and let Tom talk about OATS, but one of our newest projects and why I've been traveling around a lot is a project that's working with socially isolated, low-income, older adults in various communities right now in Washington, D.C. and in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So you can't get much different environments, backgrounds, or people. And we have 3 groups of 50 people who are doing the same program, going through the same technology training for 6 months to learn how to use an iPad to increase their social connections. So I get to hear stories every day that sometimes I can't believe, but you can't make them up, right? That are heartwarming and valuable. I just found out one of our students in Washington, who's in her 70s, is prepared to take her GED now. She'd been waiting to take it forever, but they're all computer-based. You can't take it on paper anymore. So she now has the confidence, because she knows and feels comfortable with the computer, to take her GED, and she's going to join culinary school and be a baker and has all these dreams, and this is it. I know, you've got to applaud. And you can applaud Tom Kamber while we're at it. As hard as I can be talking next. And then another woman, and this is a story we just told yesterday because it's still, I can hardly believe it, but one of the women in Sioux Falls actually fell in her bathroom. And she lived in assisted living and didn't have her Medicare alert on. And she reached to her iPad and she video chatted her neighbor who came and helped her. It's a tool. And there's no reason that older adults shouldn't have access to this. There's nothing to fear about it. But I was there the first week of these programs, and I knew people didn't want to touch these machines or didn't think it belonged to them or was too precious, so there was nothing out there for them. And one woman just found, I heard today now, that she, or researching genealogy, and she found her father's records coming into Ellis Island. She found an uncle's record coming in who was turned away because of vision problems. And she told the story to her students that are younger and have been here for a long time and maybe don't consider themselves as immigrant families in this very, farm, rural community in South Dakota, and we're able to open up maybe a little bit about what the immigrant experience is through these intergenerational conversations that are happening. So it's not ever about the technology itself, even though at Senior Planet we're happy to help you find a lost password or figure out how to get your email on your smartphone or, set up a bank account that you feel comfortable with and do things that really make you feel part of what's happening. We talk about social networking and what is Pinterest anyway? Why is everyone talking about it? Or, do newscasters even present the news, or do you have to follow them on Twitter these days, right? So we do a lot of talking about that so people feel comfortable with the conversations that are happening in wider society, but we really think that technology is just a tool to a more connected, more equal society in general, here and all over the world. So I'm going to turn it over, because I'm a storyteller. I want you to talk about OATS and Senior Planet. I saved that. A little bit about the founding of OATS. You want me to talk about that? Okay, come talk. I think I'm done for a minute. I like to answer questions. Yeah, just for a while. Ask the boss over there.